Boy,
oh boy. So we're headed down the road to ACL surgery for the T-Berry.
Barry. He's so little; they have to use so very little stuff to knock him out. Just a teaspoon of stuff to knock him out. When do you think you're gonna get it done?
Well, tomorrow, we've had him on a kind of a little anti-inflammatory for 2 weeks. It hasn't done shit, so we took him yesterday, and now tomorrow they're gonna sedate him so they can really
take a look at it.
Yeah, because he's very uncooperative most of the time.
Well, it hurts like shit. I mean, God.
He tenses up and he will not allow them.
It hurts like a motherfucker.
I just think it's so anyway, they're going to look at him closely tomorrow and then decide. There's a new kind. There's a new, fresher kind of surgery now, which is more. It's more expensive, of course, but apparently, so we're going to have our choice here. So,
all right, I'm all shared. Where are you on West Wing?
Let's see. We're right in the middle of the campaign right now. We're right in the middle of the campaign.
The re-election campaign?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're
right at the smackdown between Bradley Whitfield and Mary Louise Baker.
Mary Louise Parker would be her name.
Whatever.
So you never said anything about the assassination part. You never really said anything about that whole angle.
Well, that was early in the.
Yeah, I didn't know that you'd gotten it because I didn't want to ruin it and go, have you gotten to the assassination yet? But
no, that was early on.
I was kind of pissed that so they did it first. And then, of course, they did it on House of Cards. And then, of course, they did it on Scandal. And I thought, well, why do we have to have an assassination? But, this turns out this is a pretty violent country. I don't know if you know that about the United States, but it's a fairly violent country. During that period of time between when Kennedy was assassinated and the assassination attempt on Reagan, it's 18 years. And then there were like two on Ford in the same week, right?
Was that the same week?
It was really close. It was like within a week or two. So during that 18-year period, there were essentially 4 assassination attempts. 2 of them, the bullet actually struck the president. Of course, one of them hit him in the head and blew his brains out. So, it's a fairly violent country. I don't know if you know that about the United States.
Let's see here. Let's make sure. Sorry about the delay.
Good God. Well, I got in a little late today, so it's fine.
Hey, looking good there.
Running late and feeling great. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry.
That's good enough. Okay.
We're ready when you are, man.
We're there. It is the Brad and Britt cast, our final one for this week. Thank you so much for joining us here, as always, live. Yes, on the Facebook or the YouTube and all the other associated networks. And a big shout out to the Armed Forces Network, which has now picked us up. They dropped the Casey Kasem American Top 40 in favor of us, which, there's only room for so much great entertainment for our troops.
Do you know what that dipshit was? Dipshit McGee, the guy in the White House for about another 35 days or so. You know what he was really touting today? He was retweeting or reposting something from the Right Network, I think it's called, the Right News Network. They were covering the Mike Pence rally in Georgia, and the president signal boosted. See, that's a millennial phrase. He signal boosted something called the Right News Network, and of course, they were kissing the ass of Mike Lindell of MyPillow.com. Go to MyPillow.com, put in the promo code insurrection, get 20% off.
Well, they were running that on Fox.
Were they?
Well, he didn't have to.
He
wasn't. He doesn't watch.
Right,
he doesn't watch them anymore. Right.
He hates Fox. Fox fucked him in 2020. That's the narrative, right?
Right. All right. So since we're going to deal now in a lot of minutia and trivia here before we do say goodbye to Trump, I want to go back to what happened yesterday because again, these are all recurring themes that we have to either update or figure out whether they still mean anything. And one of the ones is, I've said this often, he distracts the tweets, the lies, the bullshit, but below the surface, he's doing so. He is termites. He is termites to the body politic of the United States. I mean, he's been eating away at all kinds of things, leaving Joe Biden with the largest home repair bill possibly in American history. The guy who complained that everything was terrible when I came in. Obama, no military, worst economy ever, and only I can fix it. Well, of course, what's the truth? He's the one who is leaving an economy in shambles. He's the one who has left the back door open so that all of our secrets, military and otherwise, are now in the hands of Vladimir Putin, who apparently took a few minutes out on Wednesday to do his annual press conference. We'll talk about that in a second here. But all these little things, all the regulations and the judges that isn't forever, but it's for a long time. However, this bullshit with the water that and by the way, there is a great medley, a great clip job of Trump about 25 times over the last 4 years talking about low flow showers and you got to flush the toilet 15 times and all this crazy stuff. And so on Wednesday, it finally happened. They have officially relaxed the regulation that restricts water flow from your shower head. This is a pet peeve of Trump. Now, we don't want to even think about why that's a pet peeve of Donald Trump. And I don't want to think about why he's obsessed with flushing the toilet, which, by the way, is one of the great old Bill Cosby routines, right?
It is, yes.
Do you remember he had remember that one?
I do remember that.
It was so good. It was so good. And a guy who has never, ever in his life touched a washing machine, a Maytag or a Westinghouse,
a Whirlpool,
or a Speed Queen. But he was obsessed with having the regulations on the amount of water that washers can use. He wants that one lifted, and that's going to be about a 40-day executive order, because that'll immediately get reversed. But of all the things in our life that did not need to be fucked with, and that's also the light bulb regulaes that make light bulbs use like 1/50th of the amount of energy that they
What
used
a battle that was. Oh my God, what a battle that was.
These are all completely 100% sensible things that private industry, that the ingenuity of engineers all around the world, they have adjusted to it, and everything is better. Would you rather buy a house that was engineered and built in 2020 or 1956? Well, if you're Donald Trump, you want it 1956, right? But the rest of us, we like the way things are. Washing machines are way more efficient, and they clean the clothes better. And I don't know about you, but it hasn't been more than 3 or 4 times that I've had to flush 15 times. What about you?
Well, I wasn't eating the amount of, I think what you were alluding to is the amount of fast food that might go through his colon. That might be the real issue here, right? Right.
But this is just crazy shit. This is just destructive termite kind of stuff. And I'm wondering what special interest group would be behind some of these moves, because you always want to think, well, yeah, maybe the manufacturers of washing machines have thought, well, we've got our guy in the White House now. We can go back to building really shitty water wasting, and that's not going to happen. It didn't happen. So I think these are all of his personal. This is just him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a high use showerhead lobby out there demanding that this one drives me crazy. And he said it over and over and over again throughout the 4 years. And the fans at his rallies, they loved it. This was the greatest thing ever. This was liberation, right? This was liberation from the onerous, you can't tell me how to run my life, Barack Obama. And by the way, the light bulb regulator from the Bush administration.
Right? Exactly. I remember that was a huge deal. I remember being on talk radio and talking about that, how that was such an attack on the American way of life.
Right.
To go to those the new kind of light bulbs that were more energy efficient, and how people were stockpiling the old granddaddy's light bulbs. You remember this?
Yeah,
that was happening. People would try to buy them up as much as possible as an in-your-face to liberals, owning the libs.
Right. The Energy Department issues this week a ruling that sets no limits on energy or water use for new washers and dryers in their normal setting. Why? And this is not what our troops are fighting for. No, this is not about freedom. This is not why blood has been shed in multiple wars for 200 plus years to allow us to waste whatever precious resources we have left on this earth. Okay. I know it's not a big deal, but it kind of is a big deal.
It is in a way.
It's very emblematic.
It is.
It's very emblematic in its own way. I'm done. That's all I got to say.
And I think this goes back to the fuel economy standards, which he tried to roll back. And then I think the manufacturers in America ended up going with California on that, didn't they? In the end. Yeah. I mean, because he was so weakened by it, and they realized the right thing to do was to go with those fuel economy standards that California had set. So it's not good. I mean, he's so impotent right now. There's nothing that he's got going on right now.
Right now, with that in mind, we have a North Carolinian joining the Joe Biden cabinet. He's the guy. This is Michael Regan,
right.
Regan.
44 years old.
Right. He's African American.
Yeah.
This is a major nod to the progressives that pushed Joe's brain to put more minority and poor communities at the forefront, because they happen to always seem to live near the toxic waste dumps in every city. They're the ones that get fucked over by the coal ash in North Carolina.
And apparently he had something to do with cleaning all that up. So that's a good thing.
Right. So there you go. So we've got at least one North Carolinian going up to Washington there.
I would say that this will be a big red flag for people like Duke Energy, ethically challenged companies like Duke Energy. They're going to be pissed off about this guy. And a lot of companies are going to feel like they're going to freak out, and then we're going to start oh my God, they're going to overregulate. They're going to kill American business. You know, there's going to be a lot of that, I would say. Wouldn't you say that that's going to be the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the choices, if you can put aside your, oh my God, these are all the leftovers from Obama. Where do you think he's going to get people? If it isn't experienced people in a lot of positions who were, Obama's only been out of office for 4 years. All these people aren't from the Johnson administration. Okay, no. They're not over the hill people. They weren't necessarily done with their public careers. I'm fine with it. It's not our fault that when Donald Trump took office, not one fucking person in the last few Republican administrations, and that would be George W. Bush and then Bush's father, not one of them, except at the very end, Bill fucking Barr, would come forward and want to have anything to do with Donald Trump, because had he brought in a bunch of George W. Bush people, which he wasn't going to, because that would be a victory for George W. Bush, right? And he hates the Bush. So that has nothing to do with the fact that the Barack Obama bench, the coaching tree, pretty extensive. When you're in there for 8 years, right? You have a lot of talent. So putting that aside, I think that Biden's selection so far has been really, really pretty good. I understand there's not an Asian American. I mean, he's getting nitpicked by the far lefties on this. There has to be every ethnic group represented, and it's not going to happen. So.
But there's going to be, it's not over. And just because you don't have a cabinet position doesn't mean you don't have some influence in the White House, and you're not going to be on the national security team, and you're not going to be at the highest levels of the FBI. Everybody just relax. But this, you would think that Joe Biden has picked the best people, Brad, but of course this controversy is raging, particularly through the hand-wringing of the liberal elites. Some advisors close to President-elect Joe Biden are frustrated over a Glamour magazine interview in which incoming White House Deputy Chief of Staff Jen O'Malley Dillon referred to Republicans on Capitol Hill as quote-unquote fuckers. Not sure if you're familiar with this controversy, Brad, but it has a lot of people thinking that Joe Biden is not doing the right thing and trying to unite this country when he has a deputy chief of staff who refers to Republicans as fuckers. This has become a major hand-wringer over the past 24 hours.
I understand that. Now, if I'm correct on this, wasn't she quoting one person somewhere in the clouds having said that? Right. It wasn't it wasn't her words. She was, which I understand in the world in which we live, that doesn't matter. I understand that. And this is deplorables times 1,000. And therefore, Joe Biden, if he doesn't resign, must fire her and must discipline her, because, during the past 4 years, you never had anybody taking personal shots at anyone ever and labeling anyone as anything. And again, this is nothing. Let's move on. Let's move on to the drug issue at UNC and Duke, because finally we figured out a way for these two schools to cooperate with each other, to be on the same team, to not be opposing each other. I mean, this looks like a fairly big deal, don't you think?
Nearly 24 people, including current and former students at UNC, Duke, and of course, Appalachian State, have been charged in connection with the investigation of a large-scale drug ring, local and law enforcement officials announcing on Thursday, that's today as we record. Many of the 21 people, this will shock you, were involved with fraternities and sororities, Brad. Phi Gamma Delta, Kappa Sigma, and Beta Theta Pi fraternal organizations. The investigation is continuing and more charges are possible. Thursday's news conference was helped to save lives. Does anybody actually believe that? Said Matthew G.T. Martin, U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of North Carolina, who was joined in a news conference by Orange County Sheriff Charles Blackwood and other law enforcement officials. I certainly think that we're very, the war on drugs should certainly continue because it's been so successful. We've had a lot of victories. But even during a pandemic, Brad, I don't know if this looks like more than window dressing. At this point in time, you don't want the kids to do the hard drugs and kill themselves, but their lives have been upended. The economy is shit. They're not going to get jobs for a while. Let them do some drugs. Let them smoke some weed, for God's sakes, is what I say. What is your take on this?
Well, my take is usually if you're at Duke or Carolina, you look down your nose at places like Appalachian State.
You do.
But these kids in the ACC said, hey, Appalachian State, do you have anybody that wants to get into the drug trade? And they welcomed a couple of Appalachian State young folks. And I think they're to be commended for that, don't you?
Well, because the people at UNC and Duke are not stupid. They know where the good drugs are, and they are in Boone, North Carolina at Appalachian State University. So, yes, even in a pandemic, it allows for some incredible extreme behavior. Yes, the Appalachian was finally allowed to play a home game in the Atlantic Coast Conference. So, yeah, come on down. You can play with us, and now everybody gets busted. I don't know. This seems like window dressing, and everybody just kind of feels good and pats themselves on their back, and we've gotten the drugs off of the street. And I'm all for that. I'm just very cynical about this entire thing. The real problem in America is not the drug dealers and the guys in the fraternities and sororities. It's the guys wearing the $7,000 suits that work as CEOs for pharmaceutical companies that are peddling pills into, Appalachian towns of 5,000, and they're throwing 100,000 pills at a time in those places. That's the real drug problem in America, in my opinion. But again, I may be just another liberal elite, Brad.
No, I think you're just being stupid, because you can walk and chew gum at the same time. In fact, the Sackler family is being hauled in front of a congressional committee today. That's the OxyContin folks. So that would be the most egregious example of what you were just talking about. So you can try to hold those people for account, although they're technically getting away with it, as you know.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean that if you have a couple fraternities that are in the large scale distribution of all kinds of shit, that you look the other way because we're in a pandemic, and you want to make a flippant remark that why you're doing whataboutism when you say, well, you have to look the other way, because you can't let that stand. It sounds like these guys, they were doing it for years. So I'd like to know. We want to know more. We want to know how much money was involved. We want to know. This isn't just some guy selling somebody a $20 a bag of weed, or it isn't like that. Obviously, it's more than that.
The headline, the story on Politico is everything's great. GOP ditches election postmortem. As you recall, after that 2012 election where Mitt Romney lost by 5 million votes, there was a 100-page RNC autopsy report. I don't think they followed any of the instructions in that, but Donald Trump lost by 7 million, and there isn't a peep. I don't think that there's any chance for any kind of constructive criticism or reflection, because they still continue to perpetuate the fraud. And your idea and your postulation that Ron Johnson, the senator from Wisconsin, is the biggest asshole of them all, I think that was really forwarded yesterday with those sham hearings in the United States Senate, whatever committee that was. I don't know if that was judiciary or what it was, but it was dreadful.
Because this isn't 2012.
Yeah.
And Trump did not lose the same way Mitt Romney lost at all. The loss by Donald Trump was a personal repudiation of Donald Trump. It was not a repudiation of Trumpism, and that's why the Republicans picked up seats all over the country. They flipped back some of the districts that were flipped in 2018, and I think you'd be the first to admit, and I'll be the second one, or I'll go first, you go second. We didn't see this coming. We did not see this coming, and the conventional wisdom, which we went along with, was that not only was Trump, if he was going to lose big, but he would carry with him down into the toilet several more congressional districts in the suburbs of Philadelphia and Charlotte and Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, and that did not happen. So therefore, there is no autopsy to be had at that level. It's not the same. But the problem is, you've got the biggest orange tar baby ever attached to you forever now, and everybody that runs for office, although I guess the way the Republicans are going to start running for office all over the country is the way they're doing it down in Georgia for Senate. They are never going to subject themselves to hard questions. They're going to avoid press conferences. They're going to avoid debates whenever they can, because they're going to be continually asked, especially the 126 people who signed on to the Texas lawsuit last week in the House, and most of them are still around. They're going to be asked as time goes forward, are you with Donald Trump, or are you with the United States of America? Are you with democracy, or are you with Trumpism? And they don't want to ever have to answer that, because if they say, well, of course I'm for democracy, well, then you're attacking Donald Trump. And they've painted themselves into that corner. And they got away with it in 2020 right below the level of the presidency. They got away with it. People like that, Britt. A lot of people like what Donald Trump did, but they don't like Donald Trump. They did get Trump fatigue, but they didn't get Trumpism fatigue as of yet on a mass scale. 70 million people voted for the guy. And, let's just say that the base of Donald is half of that. Okay. And the other people said, well, I don't want socialism or something stupid like that.
Something really stupid.
Something really stupid like
that. It's just Tourette's. Whoop,
right.
Socialism. Whoop.
Right. So Trump did not take the party down with him electorally last month. He didn't take them down electorally. I mean, he's taken them down in so many other ways, and he's trying to destroy the country in so many ways. I mean, he's leaving bombs under everybody's desk as he leaves here. But we got a problem. We've got a problem in this country, and I don't know how we get out of it. It's not easy.
Well, this is great to see how the loyal foot soldiers of Donald Trump are being paid back. You see that Roger Stone is threatening to challenge Marco Rubio in the Republican primary in the Senate in 2 years. You have seen this, right?
No, threatening to what is that? That sounds like
he's on your he's on your new favorite platform, Parlay, Brad, talking about it. He says that he's been a growing number of people have wanted me to challenge Marco Rubio, and I don't know who that is.
By the way, that's Roger Stone's version of people are saying.
People are saying
a growing number of people are telling you. Yeah, people say.
Stone wrote on Parlay, which again I know that you're. What is your account? Go fuck yourself, Trump 2020. Is that how you follow you on Parlay? Where is Marco indeed? A growing number of Florida Republicans are urging me to challenge Marco Rubio in the Republican primary. That's what he wrote on Parlay.
Yeah.
Are you going to sign up for a Parlay account just to troll these people? That seems to be what a lot of folks are doing right now.
I got to stop you from reading all this shit. Because this is the problem. We're not going to talk about what they're saying about for the next 4 years. We're not doing it.
To the extent, but wait a minute. To the extent that people like Marco Rubio and Rand Paul and Lindsey Graham carried water for this man, for Donald Trump, for 4 years and excused everything, did backflips, and now they're going to get taken right up the ass time and time again by guys because they didn't go far enough. Marco Rubio is not at the Stop the Steal rallies. They're putting where is Marco? So to the extent that these people have to deal with the Roger Stones of the world and the Alex Joneses of the world and the Ben Fergusons of the world and all of those people, I think that's hilarious because this is exactly what you've reaping what you've sown. You excused every behavior by this asshole for years, and now it turns out you could never do enough for this man. There's not enough for you to do for Donald Trump. There's just no possible way. So yes, you're going to have a barrage of bullshit thrown at you for years as your payment for standing up for this guy. And that's the part that I think is interesting and fun.
I can't disagree with that.
You love that. You gotta love that part of it.
It's not fun. It's just pathetic.
Well, in a way,
it's just pathetic because, again, you and I, neither of us were Phi Beta Kappa.
No.
And neither were the 78 million people that didn't vote for Donald Trump this time. And we've seen it forever. We've known what he is. And so many people that voted for him also know what he is, but they liked it. That's the problem. And that's where, we have shit that's going to just follow us for years and years, maybe decades. And I'll bring up one of your favorite subjects, the never-ending number of Trumps in the pipeline, who, by the way, will not be able to get honest work, right?
How can they?
So all they can do is politics.
How can
right?
they? I mean,
he has made politics the Trump family business because who's going to really want to do business with them? And I understand the My Pillow guy has great ideas. The My Pillow guy wants to be the official pillow provider for Trump International Hotels or something stupid like that. But probably Donald Trump isn't even stupid enough to do that. Okay, he's a bad businessman. And by the way, did you see? I posted a piece, and this is via the Guardian. They're finally going to blow up what's left of the last Trump casino in Atlantic City.
Oh, thank
the one
God.
it's in complete disrepair right
God.
now. It looks like a blown out Hulk that you see in Syria, and they've been dismembering it for a couple of years, and finally they're going to blow it up. And they've had a contest, an auction on who gets to push the button to blow it up. And it's about 8 or 9 days after Trump leaves office. Is that beautiful? Is that the most metaphorically perfect thing to ever happen? That 8 or 9 days after he's gone, they blow up the last vestiges of I think is it the Taj Mahal? It's one of those. Whatever's left. It says Trump on it.
It is. It's the Trump Plaza Hotel and Casino.
God.
And it says it's going to benefit the Boys and Girls Club of Atlantic City, and the mayor hopes to raise in excess of $1 million. So that's a good thing. It opened in 1984. Trump's former casino was closed in 2014 and has fallen into such a state of disrepair that demolition work will begin earlier this year. The remainder of the structure.
I don't understand why that they didn't just take it apart immediately once it was. I mean, why would it just sit? I mean, Atlantic City's had some issues, for about 50 years.
Sometimes you don't have to even have the money to get rid of stuff. Sometimes you don't have the money to even tear shit down. I mean, I went to this concert. I went to the Spectrum in Philadelphia to see Pearl Jam. It was the last shows that Pearl Jam played there. I think it was 2009. Mm-hmm. And in true Philadelphia fashion, I think it took them a couple of years before they were able to get rid of the Spectrum. They didn't have the money to even get rid of that. And by the way,
it didn't look like
but it was a piece of shit. There was leaks in the roof, and there was water falling into the ceiling.
Yeah, but nobody was. It just didn't quite matter. It wasn't the same thing.
No, by Philadelphia standards, it wasn't an eyesore. I'll give you that.
No, in Philadelphia, it was still a tourist attraction.
Exactly.
Liberty Bell.
It says here it closed in 2014, one of 4 Atlantic City casinos to shut down that year, followed by another former Trump casino. That was the Taj Mahal in 2016. That property has since reopened as the Hard Rock. There you go. The third casino Trump used to own there, Trump Marina, was sold to the Texas billionaire Tillman Fertitta. That was the family that used to own UFC, Brad, the Fertitta family, before they sold it. And now it is the Golden Nugget. So yes, they're auctioning off, and the mayor thinks he can get $1 million and give it to the Boys and Girls Club. By far, one of the greatest things that Donald Trump has ever done for charity in his entire life. The charity's actually going to get the money this time, so that's kind of nice. It looks like we're going to be near a stimulus deal, Brad, and this might include direct payment checks to Americans of $600, which sounds not that great to me, but at least it's something. $600 might keep a family off the streets for another month, huh?
Yeah, that's about it. The fact that we're at this point, and this is considered something, and I guess it is, but it's not much more than nothing. But the important thing is, and again, we talked about this last week and the week before, and I'm sticking with it. The Democrats should say this deal is the Republicans saying defund the police, because in effect, it does that. Very little, if any, money goes to state and local governments. They don't want to have any part of that. Don't want to reward those big blue commie cities that are ruining America. So
can we talk about that? Can we talk about the blue state bailout, which is what it has been termed by Mitch McConnell and a bunch of other asshole idiots? Can we talk about that?
They're not still saying that right now.
They're still running that up and down the field. And there are a lot of mayors and a lot of people, a lot of governors in the states that are like, I don't know what you're talking about. Would you quit that? That's stupid. And they continue to run that one up and down the field. Mitch McConnell, see, they started, I think, at $3 trillion. The Democrats went down to $2 trillion. I think they're going to end up around 800, 900 billion for this one. Yeah. And I think the Democrats have been willing to go down with the hope that perhaps they can win the Senate races in Georgia, take control of the Senate, and then when Joe Biden is president, and by the way, he will be president in just a few weeks, they'll go back.
According to you,
they'll go back and they'll get more, because there will be an appetite among the American people for, like, I don't know, you gave me an amuse-bouche with that $600 check, but I kind of need more, and there are a lot of businesses, obviously, that are hurting. They're talking about all of these restaurants that are going to be closing, and many of them permanently. This is why I say that it's going to be so cheap to borrow money in this country for a long time, unless something terrible happens, because we're going to need people to buy houses, start businesses, and do things like that. So the incentive for having the money being cheap to borrow has to be there for quite a while, right? Just to try to recover.
Well, so what? That's like Donald Trump saying, how come nobody thanks me because gasoline is so cheap?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason nobody thanks you is because the reason gasoline is so cheap is because nobody's going anywhere and nobody's using any of it. So it just piles up. So they have to cut the price to meet the fact that there's oversupply. See, Donald, here's the deal. Right now, too much gas, not enough coronavirus vaccine.
Right.
Too much gas, not enough coronavirus vaccine. And remember, the two most difficult things to get your hands on right now for Christmas are the coronavirus vaccine from Moderna or Pfizer, or a PlayStation 5.
Those
Can't get
things,
it. Just impossible.
We're going to see people. We're going to see people getting into fist fights outside of health departments, much like they're getting outside in fist fights outside of Walmarts for the PS5.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen. And again, if you want to talk about when America was great, let's make America great again. My recollection, and I was just a kid. I mean, I was, I was probably in kindergarten.
Okay.
When I got the polio vaccine. Now, I was born in '55, and I think that's when it started to roll out pretty quick. So I mean, I got it. But I believe, if you look at the history books, what happened was we had a president then. He was a general during World War II, and he knew how to organize things. And he kind of gave an order from the top when Jonas Salk and Albert Sabin perfected the polio vaccine. And you know what happened? You know what? Everybody lined up at their elementary school. I mean, they had it distributed all over the country, and people lined up, and Eisenhower said, "God damn it, just take it." And you know what? Everybody took it. Yep. There was no anti-vax movement. Jenny McCarthy hadn't been born yet.
That was the original. That was the original Nike. Just do it. Just do it. That's what Eisenhower said.
And you want to talk about how far away we are from that model right now. The current coronavirus vaccines are political issues, right? We have a segment of the country that is not interested in it. I don't want to take it. You take it first. I'm going to wait. All these kind of things, and then if two people have a reaction, an allergic, oh, see, it doesn't. And in the time that we're talking about this reaction, 20 more people died across the country from coronavirus. But we're going to sweat it out and wait a little bit longer, because two people out of the now probably hundreds of thousands who've already taken it had an allergic reaction from which they are fully recovered from very, very quickly, but it gets blown up into a thing. And you know what? I guarantee you, during the polio vaccine distribution, there were people that had reactions. And you know what? God damn it, line up and take it. That's what was said then. Well, that's what Eisenhower said.
If you have a history of having, severe reactions to certain things, yes, you're going to have a severe reaction. I think any doctor would tell you that. If you haven't had a history of that, then the chances are really good you're not gonna. And that's what's happening to a lot of Americans right now. It was curious that Pfizer didn't seem to count the number of doses now. You've seen this story now that they said there's 5 doses per vial, and they're like, no, it might be 7. There might be 7 in there. Well, so we may actually, which is a good news. We have a
by the way, I believe that's an example. Well, I don't know whether that was intentional or not, but that's about under promising and over delivering. I think this might be the ultimate example of that. However, to be fair, and to tie this back to what we spoke of 15 minutes ago, how is it that when you buy marijuana, they always get the measurement right? They never give you more, they never give you less than you pay for. But with the vaccine, well, we thought it would fill up 5 syringes. Turns out 7.
Right.
Are you telling me that an international multinational, in business for 400 years company couldn't figure out, when they put the shit in the bottle, whether it was going to be divisible by 5 or 6
Well, they're great.
or 7. I kind of like the story because it works in our favor. If it was the other way,
oh yeah, then
you would have a real scandal.
It's a good mistake to have. I mean, it's like this is the record for rolling out a vaccine. I think mumps was 4 years, right? I think I saw that mumps was 4. This was 11 months. So they're really great at getting the vaccine. They just suck at counting. Apparently, they're not that great at math. They're fantastic at science, but their math really sucks ass as far as that goes.
Now there's a column today in the Times that again compares where we are with what happened in the 1950s with the polio vaccine, and of course the fact of the matter is that the research had been going on for 10, 15, 20 years into these kinds of vaccines, this platform that could be adjusted and built. And that's what's been going on for the last 10 months by all these drug companies. And good for them. They did great work. But again, this is like the internet. It was government money that helped seed the research. National Institutes of Health created these platforms years ago. Government scientists, and now private industry jumps in, as they should, because they've got the wherewithal to finish the job and get it done. And it sounds great. The column makes the point that this is really convenient for the image of the drug companies right now, because who wants to bash big pharma when they're going to save the world, right?
Well, right now they're good,
right? Because and it's real helpful for Purdue Pharma, the OxyContin people, to take the heat off of them, at least from a PR standpoint, because yeah, that was bad. But the opioid crisis, that was 2 years ago. We're moving on. But the other point that's made, and I think we talked about this. This is about saving the world.
It is.
This isn't about saving the shareholders, and this isn't about saving the salaries of anybody that works. This is about saving the world, and there should be limited, if no, patent protection on these vaccines, and they should be sharing that, I think, with all the other drug companies around the world that have plants that could be producing this vaccine in massive numbers, so that we have enough in 2 or 3 weeks to just fucking kill it, to just get it done. Because to limit it to just these companies, you're seeing, at best, you're hearing, well, maybe late spring, it'll be at the point where you'll just be able to go over to CVS and there won't be a line around the block, and you'll simply go and be able to get a shot. But every minute that goes by that, millions and millions and tens of and billions aren't produced, people are dying, and the virus continues to spread. And with the polio vaccine, Albert Sabin and Jonas Salk completely gave up any patent rights they had and said, let it go, let it save the world. And I know we're in a much more litigious society. Things are not the same as they were in the 50s. I'm not saying that we could do it exactly the same way.
Right.
But in the end, we are victims of our own greed here, even in this moment where things seem to be working correctly, because the vaccine was developed several months quicker than everyone thought. I mean, conventional wisdom was it wasn't going to be until at least the middle of 2021.
That's 11 months. I mean, is a remarkable.
It's fast.
I mean, there's no way anybody could have predicted that.
But it's fast. But as you know, it's not fast enough.
No,
not their fault. But I'm saying.
Because people are dying. Because people are dying at the rate of 3,000 a day. So yeah,
because we had such inept leadership from the top, from that guy, we're in this position where, yes, good news is we've got a vaccine. Bad news is we've got a vaccine, but everybody can't have it yet. And 100,000, 200, who knows how many hundreds of thousands of people are going to die in the interim until there is enough immunity spread around the country, which is going to be difficult because of the political and the resistance forces that are out there. I mean, it's just
Vice President Pence. It is said will take the vaccine on Friday. If he gets an allergic reaction, Brad, do you think he might have some sort of severe reaction that might turn him straight? Are you afraid of this?
You saying he's gay?
Everybody
gay?
who's always that adamantly anti-gay and homophobic, they always turn out to be gay. Like every single time.
Okay.
Every single time.
Well, no, not everybody that's anti-gay
Almost
is gay.
everybody who's like,
no, just a lot of famous. There's a lot of famous cases, but they're not all gay. Not everyone.
I would say that it's almost assured that this guy he can't be this adamantly anti-gay and homophobic without being gay. And I'm just afraid if he has a severe. By the way, it's said that Joe Biden, who will be president of the United States, I think in 35 days.
No, make your book.
Joe Biden is expected to get the vaccine as soon as next week. And there's more about that thing that you mentioned yesterday about that 27-year-old agreement that may prevent Donald Trump from living at Mar-a-Lago. And that saves the people at Mar-a-Lago something. That's a blessing for them, right?
There's no more news on it, though. There's nothing that's advanced.
That thing is continuing to matriculate. Hopefully, the guys at the right-wing news network, hopefully at One America, they'll be able to have a.
I have this idea because we're always trying to combine topics that we talk about. It's sad that Donald Trump doesn't have enough money to buy back the Taj Mahal, the Hulk, the wreckage of the Taj Mahal, because he needs a place to live, right?
He does.
He may not have anywhere to go on the 21st of January. And I think it would be fitting. We don't have to indict him. We don't have to throw him in jail. He should have to live the rest of his life poor because he's billions maybe in debt. So he has no money. So he should have to live in that building, that burned out disaster that's just concrete and nothingness, right? And they should get him a couple of those 55-gallon drums that you see that they light, and the fire comes out the top, and that's how you keep warm in the winter. It's cold in Atlantic City in the winter, and he should be huddling with his family there. And they can cook hot dogs over the fire. They cook marshmallows over the fire. And that's how he should live, as a homeless hobo at his own defunct property. That's my vision. That's my hope for the world. That's my hope for 2021. Isn't that nice?
It's nice.
Isn't that nice?
And on that note, we bid you a fantastic week.